gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude. Clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. Clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. Clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. Clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You like clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. Clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You like clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude.
Snacking Out the Podcast's college football wrap-up is brought to you by Doyle Hardgrave Construction, and also by $8 a month auto insurance.
Less than $100 a year, but we still got you covered.
And now, Smacking Off's college football wrap-up with your host, Shannon Madden.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Smacking Off the Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Madden. I'm joined with one Mr. Doug Phillips. What is up, Doug?
Tua's hurt. He's fucking hurt.
Tua is hurt. I'm not happy about it at all.
Now, I'm not as happy as some of the rival fans.
I think that we should have just went ahead and, as a team, just collectively just murdered the whole entire stadium while we were there. But I don't know. Bama still had a decisive win nonetheless. Didn't have much offensive output after the
left.
injury.
I think to me it looked like
I think that was by design.
They were just trying to get out of there. I mean, there was more injuries than just Tua. I mean, Alabama had more injuries.
And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude.
But Tua's probably, might possibly, maybe be out for the remainder of his football career, depending on how the surgery Monday in Houston now, because he was airlifted to St. Vincent's Hospital, which is just a mere few minutes away from us. And then I guess they have better technology in Houston. Is that where Steve Austin, the $6 million man, is that where he had his surgery?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you notice, like, anytime there's any space shit going on, they're always like, Houston, we've got a problem. They're always calling to Houston.
The problem is if Tua does come back and actually is able to make a full recovery and comes back and plays next year, will the NCAA penalize him for making that sound when he jumps 50 feet in the air?
It's possible.
Yeah. So I don't know. There is that to consider because, he's had now, both ankles have been worked on and screws and rods.
Everything they fix is better than it was before.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how much more shit can break?
And it also, I don't know. I've seen that play a few times, particularly right before the actual hit. And I mean, was it? I don't know what did he get hit or land the way that he did because of what's been going on with his ankles, as far as everything not being 1,000% down there as well.
My dad was telling me that Marcus Mariota is always injured. So is there a genetics thing? Is there a flaw in the Samoan genetics?
I have no idea. You're opening a Pandora's box that I don't think that we can close.
And all that little clapping
fully.
you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude.
Frank Lovato, ladies and gentlemen. We've still yet to get him on the show. This is the closest we can get to Frank on the show.
Yep.
Was the voice message that he sent you.
Yep.
Was a rather
he did not do it on the Smack Line, though.
It was rather disparaging. I will say he had a few negative things to say about the podcast, but I feel like we're taking it in stride. I really do.
But it was definitely, you could tell by the way he said the things he did that he was a regular listener.
Yes, he was definitely a regular listener.
I don't know if he's listening now, but if he is, Frank, we still love you. Come home.
Okay, well, enough of that. Minnesota is not for real, y'all. Well, I mean, they still were able to maintain a respectable score against Iowa State, but it just wasn't enough.
You mean Iowa?
Iowa, excuse me. I always get my Iowas and
That's
Iowa
the Fighting
State mixed up.
Mackenzie Brooks.
Yeah. And apparently
would that be the?
She had a big bet going, something about not eating bacon.
Would that be the Fighting Mackenzie Brookses? Is that how you would say that?
I don't know.
It could just be the Fighting Mackenzies.
Yeah, I like that. The Fighting Macs.
It sounds better.
The Dirty Macs.
Oh, the Fighting Mac Trucks.
That was my favorite band that John Lennon was ever in, and that was the Dirty Mac.
It was pretty cool, except when Yoko did her thing.
Well, I mean, she did the same to the Beatles. I mean, how did you expect anything less? Even with Eric Clapton on guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Eric Clapton, though, every now and then would look over.
Yeah.
Just for a second.
That poor fiddle player. What was his name? Something Itzhak or something. I can't remember. He had a very exotic sounding name.
It was Papa something.
Yeah, I don't know. He's some dude.
Papa Joe Gracie.
And he kind of looked like a guy that worked at the bank too. He was like the least rock and roll person in that whole entire building. I'm sure.
You remember the Schaefer beer commercial I run on the cast sometimes?
Yes.
The owner of Schaefer beer, his name was Papa Joe Gracie Dick.
Excuse me?
Papa Joe Gracie Dick. That's a true story.
That's a hell of a handle.
Chuck's always telling me about that when we're watching the game.
That's a good. He would have made a good NASCAR driver. That's a good NASCAR name. It really
Papa
is.
Joe Gracie Dick?
Yeah.
I got you.
I'd buy that guy's jacket.
Let's look at these damn scores.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so LSU struggled. They didn't struggle quite as hard as I thought they would.
Say, and I'll have to ask Shannon Russell, who's joining us later on the podcast, to gloat some more. But I want to say that LSU fans were kind of making a little bit of fun of Alabama as far as the score or the points that Ole Miss was able to score on them, particularly late in the game.
Yeah.
And 37 points, and that one running back for Ole Miss is a kid to watch. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head because, quite frankly, I haven't paid much attention to Ole Miss football this year.
Scotty Phillips.
He's one of your people.
No,
he's not. Well, I mean, he's a Phillips. He's got to be kin to you somewhere.
maybe.
You need to shake that family tree. He'll probably fall out.
What color is he? I don't even know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. It's 2019, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. One love.
LSU struggled. Didn't struggle as hard as I thought. Mississippi did cover.
I don't know if Burrow
by half a point.
I don't know if Burrow's going to be able to get the Heisman only putting up 500 yards or damn near 500 yards. Yeah, it's pretty much a lock.
I think he's got the Heisman.
Yeah, I think he does too because his contender, his second contender, is pretty much out for the season. Is very much out for the season and maybe out for the rest of his career. God forbid.
Possibly. Ohio State. Rutgers.
Rolled over Rutgers like they were supposed to.
Yep. Clemson just beat the dog shit out of Wake Forest.
OSU fans, going back to that game just for a quick second, OSU fans are grumbling a little bit, kind of like Alabama fans did last year about, I don't know why. Oh, sorry, my notification shit's still on.
Oh, was that you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm getting invited by important people to do important things on my face wall. They're making the same case that Alabama fans did last year about Tua not playing 4 quarters throughout the games and kind of helping pad his Heisman stats.
Yep.
Which, I'll get into that a little bit later, but I have a particular theory about why Tua was in this game at all. Justin Fields has not played, entire 4 quarters of football and been racking up some really great numbers, but OSU fans feel that he could be running neck and neck with Burrow if he was allowed to remain in 4 quarters, kind of like LSU's defense forced Joe Burrow to do in that Ole Miss game.
Right.
There's a reason that he got 500 yards because he was there
pretty
much every single series. There was Joe Burrow.
All right, so Georgia goes to Auburn. They look very impressive early.
You skipped right over Clemson and Wake.
They beat the dog shit out of Wake. There's nothing to talk about.
And that was this was a Wake team that was ranked this year, and actually had there were a couple folks said, there's Wake's going to finally get one that they shouldn't get, or Clemson's finally going to lose one that they shouldn't. But
it's not genetic. Football is a violent game. It is, but you have to admit that Mr. Tua is definitely injury prone. Now, I don't know about Mariota because I haven't really.
Well, if we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to go ahead and go right out on the table right now, I honestly believe that Tua, which it was a game time decision, and Saban went to him and they had a quick discussion. Tua has been hurt. His numbers have been compromised as far as the Heisman race goes, and I know that God forbid that here we are supposing that Nick Saban is giving a fuck about the Heisman Award, but here we are. Because there was no reason whatsoever, as bad as Mississippi State's been and as dominant as Alabama's been.
And
Alabama could have went in with Mac Jones, played a very vanilla game, still won this game. I don't know if they would have been 38-7, but
and got Mac Jones some work, which he needs.
It would have been, especially against a decent, Mississippi State team. Mississippi State is down. But as far as a scrub team to practice with, I think Mississippi State's it's a pretty good practice.
Better than Arkansas.
Absolutely, and better than the game upcoming, which was one of the Carolina teams.
Yep.
One of the Carolina teams that nobody cares about.
Right.
Not Coastal Carolina though.
Right.
It is what it is at this point. We can suppose, and I really think that Saban. To his credit, and everybody is saying that Saban is pretty much being cold or callous in his decision to allow Tua to play this game, and I think that's absolute horseshit. I really honestly believe Tua is a young man. He's a young man who's had a degree of success. He still wants to be considered for accolades like most young men do. Mm-hmm. He has been good. He has been absolutely stunning for the Alabama Crimson Tide this year. So as his coach, this young man comes to you and says, no, I'm fine. You've seen me in practice. He's seen him in practice. Sees that he's moving really good. Team doctors are all giving him the thumbs up. Everybody around him saying, no, he can play. He's doing good. This Mississippi State team shouldn't give him too much to worry about. We've got him covered. The offensive line guys come and give Nick Saban the heads up. Don't you worry, Coach. We got his ass. We're going to keep him good. We'll keep him, let him run his numbers up for two or three 2 or 3 quarters, at least get him up to that 300-yard mark, and then
Well,
we'll
I think that he was fixing to get pulled. I think that
Saban said that.
Saban said that he was going to pull him, and I think that Tua wanted to run the 2-minute drill.
And with what we've seen Saban do, as far as the way he's used Tua this year, we have no reason to believe that that's not the case.
Right.
None whatsoever, because that seems like at the point in the game where Tua's finally approached the Heisman-like numbers, because you want about at least 300 yards a game, at least a couple, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns. Yeah. In there to really stay in the thick of this thing with the numbers that these quarterbacks are putting up right now, and the other backs that are being considered.
What do you think about Uga?
I am extremely impressed with Georgia. This was not going to be an easy win for them. There were a lot of the country were pulling for an Auburn upset. Us as Alabama fans were kind of hoping that maybe Auburn would kind of be on the other side of that score, but.
Yep.
It's still a very impressive win for Georgia. Georgia really needed this. Georgia is still squarely in the playoff hunt, and they're headed to the SEC championship and can put a exclamation point on that.
I think for Alabama to have any chance now, they've got to go to Auburn, and they have to look like a really good team. If they don't do that, then the committee's going to scale them back a little bit.
And Uga can also look to that game we were talking about first, the LSU Ole Miss game. And there's a great recipe for winning right there, because you can run at will against LSU, apparently. If you've got the talent. And last time I checked, Georgia has some excellent talent on running back.
Well, I don't want to explore that, because if Georgia beats LSU in a close game, they probably both go to the tournament. Both go to the CFP, and Alabama goes to the Sugar Bowl or wherever it is.
Yeah, and I don't see. I really don't see too many people stopping LSU. LSU's offense is just too damn good this year. They really.
So how
are.
about Oregon and Utah? I mean, do these guys have any shot of getting in?
And it really depends, because the national narrative is still leaning on 2 SEC teams being in consideration.
Yep.
And we all know historically.
And there's 3 teams that have a shot at it.
And look, Doug and myself
from the SEC. That is.
Doug and myself have made no bones about it. We're both Alabama fans, but we're not necessarily SEC homers.
Fuck the SEC.
Yeah, we look at this thing rather objectively, and I don't know. It really, as down as the pack is, are they that much further down than once you get past the second tier of the SEC?
I mean, here's the deal.
We've got some pretty awful teams.
Alabama goes and loses at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
The winner of the pack is in.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
Yeah.
But anyway, Minnesota out. Penn State still hanging on. They control their own destiny, because they got to go through Ohio State.
And Minnesota's out at the moment.
Yeah.
And again, just like in Alabama's situation, some things are going to have to swing their way.
They'd have to beat
that
Ohio
they
State.
have no control over.
Right, and they'd have to beat Ohio State.
And that's probably something they have no control over either.
Oklahoma done. I think a lot of stuff would have to happen for Oklahoma to get in. I know Timothy Bailey's going to disagree with this, but I think the perception is that Oklahoma is not going to represent. They don't represent a great game in the CFP. I think that the perception would be that Oklahoma would get killed by whoever they play.
But, at the same time, you can still make the same argument about Alabama and their performance against LSU. I mean, it really took some last-minute heroics and us clamping down on defense late in the game to keep it respectable.
Game was not as close as the score.
Yeah, LSU was never, ever seriously threatened to lose that game at any point in time.
No, Bama never had the ball with a chance to take the lead.
And again, Oklahoma, but, and that's the thing and that's the big difference here against these 2 ranked opponents, is that Alabama lost and, of course, Oklahoma won. Oklahoma will have to win the Big 12, which is, I don't know, still seems to be very well within reason.
And here's
that was a good Baylor team that they beat yesterday.
Here's the best of the rest scores, and there's really not much to talk about here. Michigan killed Michigan State. Expected. You were saying that you watched Memphis and Houston.
I did. That was actually a really damn good game.
Iowa State gave Texas their 4th loss.
Mm-hmm. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. Maybe I was right about Tom Herman after all. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that out there because I'm an asshole.
I don't know if Kansas is going to pick up another win. They're going to have to get.
Yeah, I know.
They're going to have to pull an upset to do it.
I
They've got
know,
Baylor
I
coming
know,
to Kansas
I know.
for the end of the year.
That don't matter. They're going to lose that game.
Okay, sorry, that's Boise State, and I really don't know if there's any. Cincinnati struggled with UCF. I don't know how that happened. That's still a good Group of 5 team. I'm talking about Cincinnati, not UCF.
USF.
Sorry, yeah, USF.
South Florida.
I'm getting them mixed up now because they both.
Yeah, there's a lot of Florida teams.
They both sucking right
floating
now. Florida handled Missouri. They're not going to the SEC championship game. Georgia just clinched last night.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot to talk about in these scores, but let's go ahead and jump to this right here because we've been talking about the teams that are doing
The Power 6.
Yeah, the Power 6.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, but I went ahead and threw 2 Power 5.
Yeah, there are some other teams because we have Boise. They represent the Mountain West. We have Memphis with the AAC, SMU's with AAC, Cincinnati's with AAC. And, of course, we have Minnesota, which is Big Ten, and Baylor, which is out of those, though, the AAC lays claim to 3 of those teams that we're looking at right there. And can we make an argument that they are better than the bottom tier? What would be the bottom tier of the Power 5 this season?
Kansas.
Well, I mean, no, I'm talking about which conference is the worst out of the 5.
That's a struggle between the.
We need to do a
live
championship for the worst conference.
I guess Big 12 or the Pac. I know the ACC is terrible.
ACC is other than Clemson.
Terrible.
There's not another ranked team on the ACC. There's a lot of ranked teams on the ACC.
So anyway, we were talking about Les, and here's his 2 shots. Here he's got to go at Iowa State. Probably not. I guess Baylor's their best shot.
Yeah, but I mean, they're going to have to like put poison gas in the locker room 5 minutes before the game or something like that.
Call Auburn to give them some pointers.
They don't have much talent there. They've got a decent running back, but they just that the defense is improving a little bit. But Oklahoma State, for as much offensive firepower as they give, they held them to 31 points. So I mean, it's not horrible. I mean, there's spots that we can look at Kansas. Who's worse, Kansas or Vanderbilt right now?
I wish Vanderbilt was on Kansas' schedule because I think that he might pick up a 4th win there.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
But at Vandy, I think I'd have to go with Vandy.
What if it's a neutral site game?
I believe that
square in the middle.
I believe Les might pull that one off.
What city would be in the middle of Kansas and Nashville?
Tupelo. Let's play there.
No, it would be north of there. It'd probably be somewhere in either
West Memphis, Arkansas.
Probably be somewhere in Kansas, I would think. No, not in Kansas. What's Arkansas?
Arkansas.
Yeah, we'll play that game in Fayetteville. Who wins?
Arkansas.
Well, the city of Fayetteville, from all of the people that would travel to such a game.
I really don't know. That's an odd one.
Why don't they do that? We have all of these meaningless, stupid fucking bowl games. I mean, we've got some really
match up the 2 worst teams.
Really dumb bowl games. Why don't we do the absolute 2 worst teams of the Power 5? And or better yet, have one of the worst teams of the Power 5 play one of the best out of one of the absolute.
Here's an odd one.
The best of the.
Here's an odd one. Put 2 teams against each other and let the coaches switch sides.
I mean, yeah. Why don't you mix it up like that? Yeah. That would be fucking awesome.
Have Saban coach who Washington versus what's Washington's coach's name? Chris Peterson. Coaching Alabama.
No, I don't want Peterson.
You don't?
No, fuck Peterson.
All right.
Peterson's. Yeah, he's.
You ready to do this live championship thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
This week's Live Championships Top Contenders is brought to you by Bad Month Tires, cuz who the fuck can afford Goodyear? Those fuckers are expensive as shit. And also by Dr. Thunder, not nearly as good as Dr. Pepper, but a whole hell of a lot cheaper. And now, our champions of life for this week.
All right.
And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude.
Okay, let's do this live championship.
Let's start with the first two teams out. We'll start with 6.
Number 6.
Wait, give me a second. Yes, sir. Number
Motherfucking Penn State.
All right. Number 5.
Oh, wait a minute. I missed my cue. There we go.
There you go. Number 5, the Texas Longhorns. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, I was right about Tom Herman. I've been back and forth all season long, but I initially said that Tom Herman isn't all that in a bag of fries, and by God, I was fucking right.
Number 4, this team, I really did not want to see this team on this list.
No.
Because they have exceeded any expectations, and I really hope this team does not end up in this list. Definitely, I hope they don't win it. The Baylor Bears made number 4.
Yeah.
All right, and here's another team I did not want to see on this list, but here they are. Your Minnesota Golden Gophers are your number 3.
Minnesota.
They talk like that in Dakota too, don't they? Kind of. Fargo. Number 2 just pisses me off. Not that they don't deserve to be there, but at number 2, which was also the number 2 team last week, you have the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Who won this week? Won convincingly, but also lost in so many ways. Poor Tua. Well, man, we hope he gets better. We really do. We're pulling for you, kid.
All right, we have a new number 1. They've been in and out of the poll, the live poll this year.
Aren't they the defending champions from last year?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Wait,
and
no, Michigan is.
Oh, yeah,
you're thinking about
right,
17.
That's right. Yeah, I'm saying 17.
All right,
but they're making a comeback, man. The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn Tigers.
There's your number 1 right there. And now, if they lose against Alabama, so because they're at 7 wins now, 7 and 3, I believe it is.
Yep.
So if they are playing Sanford next week, so that'll put them at 8 and 4.
8 and 3.
8 and 3.
Yeah.
Okay, well, not a 9-win Auburn team, so Alabama's chances are looking pretty good right there.
All right, you ready to cut to a commercial, and then we're going to bring on our surprise guest, which you've already...
no, it's Shannon Russell. I told y'all it's going to be Shannon
All
Russell.
that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude.
I'm going to play this
like
on
a
the
little
loop for
child
forever.
on Facebook with a new toy, dude.
All right, we'll be back here in a second.
Excellent.
You worked too hard, you ate too much, the cheesecake made you greedy. Let your aching head and stomach hear this message from old Speedy. Alka-Seltzer, plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is. Ah, those Speedy Alka-Seltzer bubbles burst into action to relieve your upset stomach and aching head fast. It's only as directed. Oh, what a relief it is. What a relief.
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. Schaefer pleasure doesn't fade even when your thirst is done. The most rewarding flavor in this man's world for people who are having fun. Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. Oh, yes, Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Schaefer, the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
What are you listening to? This Remco transistor radio I made myself. Want to listen? Gee, the ball game. It's a real radio and it works great. Could I build one too? Sure. that come in the Remco kit. The transistor, the tuner, and a separate loudspeaker for broadcasting. Can you do your own broadcasting too? Yeah, sure. I'll do the announcing with this microphone while you work the radio. This is radio station REMCO, Remco, the do-it-yourself radio station. Oh boy, we're radio engineers.
Fellows, get your Remco radio at your favorite toy store. From $3.95 to $9.95, every boy wants a Remco toy.
Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team. Get ready to have your mind blown. It's Smacking Off the Podcast.
Please welcome Shannon Russell, the Smacking of the Podcast.
Roll Tide, what's up?
Hey, I just literally came across a post that says if you want to send a get well card to Tua, they're giving an address to the Alabama Athletic Department with the address where to send the cards. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, he is in Houston at the moment, but you can send your cards. You can send them to me.
Yeah.
Send cash. He needs cash right now more than ever.
I want the best for Tua. I really do. I don't think that he's built for this game at this level. And I
think there's something wrong there. I think he's not a small guy.
No, I know he's not.
So I don't understand it. I don't,
He's hobbling around on 2 fake ankles right now. I mean, there's something's got to give at some point in time.
2 fake ankles, but that ain't even the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what really worries me? Look, and I really hope he makes and I'm not smacking when I say this. I know it's smacking off the podcast, but I'm not going to smack at the moment. In all sincerity, I hope he makes a full recovery and he returns to the game. But if his injury is anywhere similar to Bo Jackson was a big guy. He was a beast. He was solid. And if he couldn't recover from that, I just don't know. But we have advanced in medical technology. That was, in the early 90s. We're talking almost 20 years later, or over 20 years later, wherever it was that he finally, quit. But it is what it is. These injuries are
damn near 30 years later.
Yeah, I'm not even looking at exactly when, but I know it's been a long time. That he played at Auburn and played football and baseball. I mean, he was Tua's not small, but he's not built like Bo Jackson.
No.
So that's the only thing that makes me wonder. I really hope he does come back and play next year. If we don't have a quarterback like Joe Burrow again, that's going to be tough to really, go against him and with the numbers he puts up for Alabama. But I hope he does. I hope he comes back and that he didn't throw away his career, because that would be a shame. He's probably the best quarterback he'll ever had. I mean, I know some people want to say Joe Namath.
Well, and look, and Saban said it himself, and even Tua, nobody expects to actually go in and get injured. Nobody thinks about that, especially if you have a winning mindset. If you have a winning mindset, you're going to complete the game and you're going to do the very best you can during the game for your team. That's your expectations going into the game. That's your coach's expectation going into it. And there is a fair amount of trolling that comes with everybody being critical of Saban's decision to allow him to enter the game. Now, that being said, it's still, as Alabama fans and seeing Tua have two different ankle injuries. Yeah, there's. Go ahead.
There's a lot of people that's criticizing him for it, and I'm not gonna lie. At first I was like, why did he put him in the game?
I did too.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. I was shocked. I was like, well, then they'll put him in for a quarter or something like that and eventually take him out after we're up 20 points. But no, they kept him in.
I don't know if it's fair to cast blame, but I feel like, of course, those kids, they said, well, he wanted most, I had this discussion with some Bama fans that got mad at me, and they said, well, he wanted to play. He didn't force him. I said, okay, every kid on that bench wants to play. Your second and third and fourth string wants to play football too. But sometimes it takes. I think he wanted to prove something, and I don't think Saban intentionally did it and not care. That's not what I'm saying. But I think somebody should have said, look, you might need to heal. You need to sit the bench. I think they needed to reassure him that he's done a great job and he's proved himself. He has nothing to prove. I wasn't there for the conversation. None of us were. But I feel like somebody should have said, because when you're 20 years old, you think you're invincible. And but he had 5 months to go before the NFL draft to make millions.
Yep.
Somebody didn't sit down with him and really think this through. That's just what I think. I mean, I'm trying to be critical. The fact of the matter is it's over and done. We need to pray for him. He needs to get better. But we need to learn from this because he's thrown away a huge opportunity. And I feel like, if we don't learn from this, it's a travesty. It's a travesty. They had a kid it was a little junior college, but he died. The coaches knew he had a concussion. They sent him back there anyway, and he died. Now somebody's going to be responsible for that. And we get so wrapped up in the game and wanting to win that we forget these kids are human beings. They're not built like a robot. They're going to get hurt. And I just feel like he was limping on the field after the LSU game, and I was giving him props because I thought, wow, look at him limping, and he still put 4 touchdowns on us. And still put up over 400 yards. I mean, that was tremendous, and one of the biggest games of his career. He still put up 4 touchdowns, but he was limping off the field a week ago. And I feel like that should have – I don't care what the doctor says. When your kid's limping off the field, you need to say, hey, let him rest. I mean, the important game left for y'all is the Iron Bowl,
What do you do? What do you do a couple days later, though, when the kid's not limping anymore and he's showing up at practice and kid's ready to ball and he's throwing the ball like he's supposed to. He's moving exactly like he's supposed to. You've been in contact with the doctors. The doctors are all giving the thumbs up. Nobody's pushing the issue because
and I've had people say that. Here's my answer to that if you want to know. And I agree with you. However, it's still a gamble. It's still a risk. You're 5 months from the NFL. Do you risk injuring him again? Because it's a gamble. We knew putting him out there, we're risking him injuring, if not another.
But just as well as I do, 40 or 50 years ago, we would have never had this conversation. It would have been an issue of the man's toughness, of the young man's toughness. And he was playing hurt, and he went and he insisted on playing hurt, and coach put him in. And he lost the game, but it don't matter because he was a man, because he stood up and this, that. And you understand what I'm saying, right? The narrative as far as that has changed dramatically. It really has.
But people say he wanted to play. It's still the coach's decision. And I think I'm not trying to criticize him. I understand what the doctor said, but
that's the supposition that I was making to you just a moment ago. was that you're getting an okay from the doctors. The kid is really insistent on playing. You're looking at him, watching him in practice, and he's not making any. There's not any indication that he is still hurt. That the surgery was successful. Yeah, he got a little wobbly down.
He has already had three injuries? The knee, both ankles. He's already had 3. Why would you risk another 5 months in the NFL? That just isn't smart. I don't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, I mean, at the same time, if you don't see that he's injured and everybody's telling you that he's okay,
but you're risking. But still, you're risking.
But anytime there's an injury, you can play the what if game.
And that's what I'm saying. You go and hold him out for that game, but how long do you hold him out? And the kid's sitting on the sideline, and look, again, this is one other thing that wasn't 30 or 40 years ago, and that's something called the transfer portal.
And here's another thing.
And that right there. And I got to stop there before you say anything else, because the transfer portal is making a lot of decisions for coaches when a player is really insistent on the way that they want to be coached and what they want to do. And you have somebody that is pretty much the heart and soul of what Alabama's done this season.
Portal when come on, he's a junior about to be in the NFL draft, and he's the starting quarterback. If he was your backup, but I mean, come on. I mean,
I think one of the most.
But you want to go ahead and endanger. If this kid is telling you that we're good, the doctor's telling you we're good. You go out there, all of the assistants, anybody that has anything to do with the offense, quarterback coaches, etc. No, he looks great. Everything's looking good. I think we can start him this week.
There is one important detail to this that we have not mentioned.
But how do you know? How do you know all that? How do you know that they didn't pay the doctor money to say, hey?
Because they don't pay all that money. They don't pay all that money to Nick Saban for supposition and guessing. That's pretty much what it is. I mean, he had a decision to make. He made the decision. It is what it is.
LSU players that were injured, Arden Key, for example, several of them that we kept out of the bowl game, and probably lost in Notre Dame because we had key players that had just recovered from an injury, and they weren't risking their NFL career for LSU, and they sat.
Yeah, and
Arden Key was supposed to go first round. Okay.
Remember when Clowney sat out at South Carolina? Remember the narrative that was around that?
Yep.
Oh, he's just a big-ass pussy. I can't believe that. I can't believe that he would do his team like that. He has just said just because he wants to make a little extra money in the NFL draft. So, I mean, which narrative am I supposed to run with here?
I'm just saying. But
there's one narrative that we have totally ignored.
Tell me the difference. Arden Key was supposed to be drafted #1. I know y'all know who Arden Key is.
Well, the difference is probably that.
Yeah, we're talking about Tua though.
The difference is probably the player itself.
He was supposed to go first round.
Tua didn't, and he didn't break his ankle either. I mean, this was a completely different injury.
I think the difference is the players themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But here's one thing that we're not mentioning.
So you're telling me he didn't feel pressured at all to get out there on that field and risk millions of dollars?
Against Mississippi State, absolutely not.
No. What he was wanting to do was pad his Heisman stats. I already know that. Come on now. That's an easy one. That's so easy to figure out. It's not even funny. And you being an LSU fan should know why.
Why would you care about the Heisman of the NFL?
Because he's a young man looking for trophies. That's what they all do. Come on now.
Well,
you were young once. Position. You were young once and wanted praise and accolades for what you were doing.
God damn it, I'm getting this in.
Go ahead, Doug.
This injury had absolutely nothing to do with his ankle injury.
Absolutely.
So he could have been completely healthy.
But that's what I'm saying. You know that, but you're arguing the fact that Saban should have kept him out because why would he risk damaging that ankle, and his ankle didn't get damaged. This was completely.
Do you agree? If you watch the games, the last 2 games, I think he was slower, and I think he couldn't run as fast, get away from people tackling him because of the ankle wasn't completely healed.
Either that or it was mental, because I mean it does something to you.
He was limping off the field a week ago, and you compensate for that. Think about when you've ever hurt a toe or an ankle or whatever. If y'all ever had injuries, I was an athlete. Believe me, I know. And when you're if you're uncomfortable, or they had him all taped up.
This conversation's injured
it's
me.
mental.
Can we fire Saban now and get away with it? Is that what you're saying?
He wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
So you risked him for being re-injured because he wasn't 100% to guard himself to begin with.
All that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child
Why
on
are you pulling
Facebook
him?
with a new toy,
Do you
dude.
understand what I'm saying?
I
If
do.
you got
I do.
an ankle that's not his ankle was not 100%. True or false? True or false?
I don't know.
I don't know the
Because
number.
I
The
heard
numbers
they
that he
were-
put up.
I don't think it should have
The
been
numbers
100%.
he put up. It doesn't seem
I
like
had
his
Bama
ankle was
fans
affecting
tell
him at
me
all.
That y'all would have beat LSU if Tua was healthy. I had 90% of Bama fans throw that in my face.
I really don't
that
know.
y'all would've beat.
I'm not going to
he
say
threw-
Then
that.
all of a sudden, Tua's healthy a week later.
Never heard
before
that
he
from
gets
me. He
sick.
threw for 400 yards. I mean,
He was 100% against Clemson.
his,
too.
his hurt ankle didn't affect him much
in
in the LSU
You
game.
my tags.
You know.
Y'all hid like y'all try to accuse everybody else.
No,
Y'all
nobody hid. There
They
just
hid
wasn't
the
nothing to
Tigers.
talk about. It's like you were beating a dead horse.
Yeah, this is us hiding right now
It don't
when we brought
matter.
you to talk to
played
us on the
good. You
podcast.
lost after talking shit. You played good.
I was talking shit. Compared to you, nobody talked
Y'all
shit.
hid. Y'all hid like two crybabies. And so you didn't get to hear me. But
We're
most
hiding.
Bama
We're hiding
fans
right
said,
now.
"Oh, Tua would have been healthy. We would have beat y'all."
I didn't
Now,
say
all of a
that.
sudden, a week
Hey,
later,
show me
we
where I
lost.
said Shannon. Show me where I said that, please.
I
Because
really,
I sure as hell never made that comment.
I encourage everybody to go back to YouTube and listen to our podcast that we did while we were hiding the day after Alabama lost to LSU. That was us hiding right there.
Repeat
So.
that. You were what? Back up a minute. I want to hear that again. You were what?
I want everybody to go back to our YouTube page. We have a YouTube page, Smacking Off the Podcast, and we archive all of our shows. And I want us to go back and when we hit.
No, you didn't have it with me.
Remember
You
when
had
we
it
did not do the
since you
podcast?
lost.
Remember when we did not do the podcast after
Yes.
the Bama LSU game?
Mhm.
Excuse me. YouTube says something different. YouTube says that we did a podcast.
Yeah, well, we recorded
You
that.
didn't include me. You
We
didn't
act-
include me.
Well, we
and
didn't-
I told Doug
We
before
were
the game,
completely
I
booked
want a
up. We
special
couldn't get
show
you.
after the
That's
game, no
why I
matter
put
what
you
the
in tonight.
outcome.
Yeah.
That's why we gave you tonight.
We talked to you the day, we
Y'all had
talked
to
to you
get
right
that
before the
salt
show.
out of your
Shannon,
throat. You had to get the salt
one
out of
question,
your
and I want
throat.
you to be completely honest. Can Alabama fire Saban now and get away with it?
Can what?
Can
What?
Alabama
What?
fire Saban over this thing?
We can afford the buyout. Trust
Because
me.
No, I
he
wouldn't
should have
fire
never
Saban.
had him out
That's
there,
not what I
Shannon.
said.
You're right.
There is so much money.
Can Alabama
Why
fire
are y'all so
Saban?
black and white about everything? I didn't say fire the man.
Okay.
I said learn from it.
I think we need
Learn
to.
from that.
Can we at least throw a brick through his window?
But no, but at least tell me what is the difference. Y'all, let me finish.
Breaking
off the
news:
conversation.
Shannon
Tell me
Russell
the
says
difference.
that we
You
need
said
to
the difference
fire
is the
Nick
players.
Saban right
I
now.
don't believe that. Tua's not dumb.
Right. I think Tua made the call. I mean, I think that.
No,
I do too.
Who tells Saban what to do? Y'all talk out of both sides of y'all's mouth.
I don't
Who
know.
tells Nick Saban what to do?
You're saying
Nobody.
y'all.
No, they didn't.
Nobody.
Look,
You're saying y'all, but are you
I'm
gonna?
not proposing that Tua told Nick Saban anything.
The
I'm
only one
proposing
tells
that
Nick
Tua
Saban what to
wanted
do is
something,
Gary Saban,
and his
that's
head
it.
coach, who he has done quite a bit for this season, I think his head coach relented and let him play because
No, nobody
all
tells Nick
indication,
Saban what to do.
all
Nobody
indications. You're absolutely right. Nobody tells Nick Saban what to do,
Let
but
me
I'm
tell you
sure that he,
something.
I'm sure that he made that
part
request.
y'all brag about,
I'm
he
sure
gets
that Nick
his
Saban
meds.
considered it and he put him in. And like Doug
When you
pointed
say
out,
y'all, you're talking about Alabama Nation, and we're getting blamed for
Yeah.
things that other Alabama people have
I
said.
hadn't even looked at Alabama.
we
Nation
called
State.
we called Nick Saban
I
30
just
minutes.
mean Alabama fans in general.
Yeah, we called Nick Saban 30 minutes before the game and talked to him about what he should do in that game. It's that's how we roll here at Alabama Nation. It's part of the process. Nick Saban talks about it all the motherfucking time.
Well, what I'm saying is nobody tells Nick Saban what to do. It doesn't matter what the players say.
I think Miss
Those
Terry
second
does.
and third string
Yeah.
players want to play too. They all want to play, but it's the coach's decision. And I'm sorry, they shouldn't have played him. They shouldn't have played him. He risked too much. You
I mean,
telling me
anytime
that
there's
all
an
the-
injury, can you
Clapping
not
do
say
in
this?
Between that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook
He
with a
was
new
saying that
toy,
to you.
dude.
He ain't saying that to me.
That's fine.
Let's make that audience. Y'all understand that? He was telling Shannon Madden that, not this Shannon.
No, he was actually telling me that.
He was telling Doug that. I had nothing to do with it.
He was talking to me like I was me
But
and
he
Shannon.
really meant that for Shannon.
You know, we get that a lot though. For some of our haters, they don't differentiate between you and I. They just like you and I are
Dad
like
or Paul?
one entity.
Paul, go. Doug!
Yeah,
Doug!
yeah.
Doug! You ever heard Paul Garner on the show, Shannon?
I don't think I have.
You haven't heard Paul Garner's segment with JPC? Oh my God! Speaking of YouTube, anybody that as soon as you get done listening to this needs to go back and listen to that podcast because it's fucking amazing. It's amazing. If you've ever had any kind of run-ins with Jesse Paul Clark or seen him in groups, and I know you have, Jesse's been pretty active for a long time, and he's trolled all of the best. But go and listen to that segment.
Who's trolled all of the best?
Jesse Paul Clark, JPC.
That dude is a loser. Loser.
You know him.
Hey, you need to listen to that segment because that's exactly right there is the personification of when he lost.
But can I say something real quick?
I bury my money in mason jars, motherfucker.
Yeah. But that wasn't him. That was Paul.
Yeah, it was. He whooped that ass, too.
Anytime there's an injury, you can always say, I mean, this was still in the first. It's not like this was the second half.
You know what I love about
about
this segment? With that we're having a conversation with an LSU fan, number one team in the nation,
and
right
we have
now.
not mentioned LSU once.
Not talked about LSU one minute at all. It's been a great segment.
Well, we're gonna make time for LSU. No, I'm not gonna hang.
No, hop back up on Daddy Saban's lap and keep riding. That's awesome.
YouTube cut you off. No. This is a good segment.
No, YouTube is not cutting us off tonight. With this, we're gonna rock this segment all the way until the bitter end.
All I'm saying is, Doug, I understand what you're saying. Nobody can foresee the future, okay?
Right.
But
the
point is.
But they should have seen the future, though, right?
No, the point is, when you have an injury and you're not 100%, he's not going to be as fast. He's not going to be. He's not 100%.
It still has nothing to do with the injury, does he?
Yes, it does.
No,
it does. He cannot run. He couldn't run or get away. I could tell watching him. He played well.
If you look at that hit, it does not look like he's going to come. He's going to get a dislocated hip.
He was limping off the field.
We're speaking with NFL scout Shannon Russell right now about the Tua Tagovailoa.
Point is, they even said on the Feinbaum show. Did y'all listen to Feinbaum? Even Feinbaum, he danced around it because he's a Saban lover. He danced around it, but and you're really comprehending what he's saying. He pretty much blamed Saban. Everybody on that show blamed Saban this morning.
You're a Feinbaum fan?
I'm telling you that I understand why the man did it, but don't sit up here and say, "Oh, Tua's so great. He has a heart. He wanted to play." He felt like he owed Saban that. Okay, y'all paid money.
You mean tell you something?
That's just supposition. That's just some shit you made up. And
you mean tell you something that's going to blow your mind, Shannon?
Yeah.
You want to hear my thoughts on Tua?
That's some guessing and some wishing and some hoping.
I think Tua has actually hurt what Saban does at Alabama, and it's really everything centers around Tua, and it's hurt the team. And I've thought that for several years now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm glad he got hurt. Obviously, I mean, I got a child, so
we have seen this happen. We've seen this happen with a few teams. Maybe Oklahoma with Baker Mayfield, perhaps.
Where they depend on the quarterback for everything. Yeah,
where it's pretty much everything centered around the quarterback, just keeping
Alabama's got too much talent on that team for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think that Alabama's going to rebound and go to Auburn and just kill him? Probably not.
Fault they put him on the field. Is that we can agree on that now?
No. Unrelated. I just think that
who makes the decisions for the players to get out on the field?
Landon makes the decisions.
Landon Beeman. Hashtag fake profiles.
No, he wasn't.
R.I.P. Sweet Angel.
Tua said, "Hey, I want to play," but it's still Saban's decision. So yes, he shouldn't have been on the field.
Okay.
Bottom line, he threw away his NFL career. Y'all shouldn't take this lightly.
I definitely don't think Saban.
Oh my God! What will we do? Holy shit! Oh my God! His hip is broken. Oh shit!
It is. Right now, it's not looking good. I'm not saying that he can't come back from it.
I'm glad I got that out of my system.
Saban didn't force him onto the field, though, is what I'm trying to tell you. The kid wanted to compete.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
First of all, Saban rips their ass every minute. He gets in their heads. I hear Alabama fans say, he gets in their heads. It's psychological. Let me tell you something.
I think I'm listening to that right now.
He don't let his assistant coaches.
Did you pick those vibes up when you were sitting on his toilet?
Yes.
Nick Saban should have told him to sit the bench. Bottom line. And you know what? All I'm saying is this.
In hindsight, absolutely, but in foresight, I'm not sure.
Why can't y'all ever criticize him, though? It drives me insane. It's almost like
because the man is a fucking god. You know it. I know it. The American people know
Shannon,
it. Thank you very
Shannon,
much.
I can criticize Saban, and I will criticize Saban when he needs it, but this is not Saban's fault.
Y'all treat him like he's Jesus. Y'all treat him like he's Jesus.
No, he's God. God was actually, I think God is like,
Y'all
like
do.
one
Y'all
level
drink the
above
Kool-Aid.
Jesus, right?
Y'all drink the
In the
Kool-Aid.
hierarchy.
Seriously.
All
There's Bama fans.
It depends
that
on
get
the.
We
mad.
celebrate
doctor.
with that Kool-Aid year in and year out. When
Let me
we
tell you something. When you don't criticize,
we get the Kool-Aid and we
criticize
put it up somewhere safe and somewhere cold,
He
so
has
when
too
we
much
win the
power. He
national
has too much
championship,
power.
we can all take it out and share it together.
Shannon, listen to me. I'm being serious.
I am too.
I respect Nick Saban. I like. It's got nothing to do with that. But
I know
the
you
man,
you
it's
actually
okay
pooped
to
in the guy's
criticize
toilet.
him.
You
It's
actually went
okay
to
to
Nick
say,
Saban's
"Hey,
bathroom
dude, you
and
shouldn't have put it
got
on the
nude in
field."
his bathroom. If I went to Nick Saban's bathroom right now, I would definitely masturbate in it. No
We're
two
not
ways
talking
around
about
it.
that. Doug.
I am.
Yes.
Doug,
You
I'm
may
talking
not be
Doug
talking
who's
about
being
that, but I most certainly
anyway,
am.
Doug,
Yeah.
we're not talking to Shannon right now.
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not.
His
I
microphone's
got the
louder
fucking
than mine.
microphone. So I can mute you right now.
Doug has been a little more critical than you have of Saban. You like want to drink his urine and stuff.
I would drink
Anyway,
Nick Saban's bathwater. I
so-
definitely would. I would.
All I'm saying is, it's
I wouldn't let
okay
him
to
like
say,
come in
"Hey,
my hair or
Saban,
anything like
you
that.
shouldn't have put him in the game. You made a mistake. It's okay to learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
Saban criticizes himself. He's a type A personality. He's a perfectionist, and a perfectionist they criticize themselves. I guarantee you, he's probably feeling a little bit bad about it.
I think
And
in
he should.
hindsight, it was definitely a bad move, but I can't see.
Woo!
from
Wait
for-
a minute. Make sure y'all record that. Everybody hear that?
Yeah.
Doug just said.
In
what you just said?
hindsight, but
Saban
any
didn't win the back.
injury, if you say to yourself, I could have taken him out before that happened, absolutely, you can always do that in any
Okay,
injury.
there was no
Yogi
reason
Berra once
he
said
shouldn't have played against
hindsight is
LSU, much less
50-50.
Mississippi State. Y'all are not y'all. My opinion, say if you listen, did y'all listen to Feinbaum show today?
No.
You know what they said?
I
You know
listen
what
to
they
Monday
said?
through Fridays.
It's Sunday.
You're a joke. You're a joke.
Y'all also
You're a
create
fucking
bad
idiot,
ones,
dude.
too. You know why we have the playoffs? Because of the LSU-Alabama game in 2012. Do you know why? You know what Feinbaum said at the end of the show today?
What?
Go back and listen to it. I'll send it to y'all. He says this definitely
you to
is a
tell me
lesson
with your mouth.
for college football. This may change college football.
Get out of your mom's fucking basement.
But it still
dude.
doesn't say anything. It still says nothing about what was going on before the injury happened.
No, it doesn't matter. Did you hear what I just said? He said this right here. That
It's still
wake
We
up,
heard it.
Alabama. This is the learning lesson.
But
Pay
this
attention.
injury still has nothing to do with his prior injury. It's a
Doug,
total.
if you had
Doug.
a high ankle sprain, go
Yeah.
ask Tim Tebow how he felt playing on it. And you are not going to be able to run fast enough. He was not 100%.
Well, thank God.
Yeah, but we
I'm
have a
glad now.
dislocated
Fucking
hip here. What's that got to do with your ankle?
notification From your
He was
dumbass,
limping
dude. You're a
off the
fucking
field
moron.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with the dislocated hip? That happened when somebody
Been
landed on his
fun trashing
leg.
because you are a piece
Have
of
you ever seen
shit,
an old person?
idiot.
An old person
Get
they
a
walk.
fucking
Yeah, but
life,
he's
you
not an
fucking-
old
They don't
person.
walk straight. They fall easier because their balance is off or something's wrong with them because of different.
Yeah, he fell several times in the game before then. Somebody landed on him.
Yeah.
It
that
didn't.
happened.
It didn't.
Bloodied his nose in the process.
I've actually seen people pop up from hits just like that.
Because he's weak.
Don't you
and he's
remember?
accident prone.
Do you,
Yeah, he might be-
hey, don't you remember that time that you hurt your ankle and then you got a bloody nose because of it?
No.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
let me give you an example. And y'all can, I probably should use my phone, but it's just like I've had seizures here recently. They won't let me drive because I had a seizure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because you're a
I
woman.
may not have another seizure for 3 more months. I may could drive better than some of the idiots on the road I see every day.
A blonde-headed
But
woman
the
at that.
fact of the matter is, nobody takes the risk because you're risking other lives. Now, this situation, he was risking his body and his career. It was a stupid move.
It still has
Learn from
nothing
it.
to do with the injury that he got.
It's
We
okay
still
to
have not
criticize
talked about
Nick Saban.
LSU.
It's okay. So
LSU won a
They
LSU
have
won an
absolutely
amazing game
nothing
the
to do
other
with
day.
one another.
I'm just going to
y'all-
talk about
y'all-
LSU while
y'all-
she's
He did
talking
not
about
get
this.
sustained that because he couldn't run fast enough, Shannon. He
Drink the
sustained it
Kool-Aid.
because he
Drink
got
the Kool-Aid.
landed on. His leg got landed
We're
on.
all going to die. Jim Jones, just drink the red Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Drink the red Kool-Aid. Saban's making the
I mean,
third
Doug, did you
Kool-Aid.
really think this conversation was going to be anything less than what we've received so far?
All right,
I mean,
let's
seriously.
talk about LSU. Y'all want to talk
Nah,
about LSU?
we're
Hurry
done.
up.
We're out of time. Thank you very much, everybody. We really appreciate y'all joining the show tonight. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Y'all ain't even number in the number 4 of the
Oh,
of the
shit.
playoffs.
We got 5 minutes. Fuck.
So
I want to get some coffee. Just talk about
we
LSU
need to
or
talk
whatever. I
about
don't
the number
care.
one team. I agree. Let's not talk about
Allowing
Alabama.
a shitty scrub Ole
Let's
Miss
move on
team
to
to
the number
score
one team,
37
Alabama
points on
sucks.
them. Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute because I don't
My
know
man,
what
my
makes
man
y'all
Joe
think
did not
that
laugh about last
Georgia's
year.
not going to
We're gonna
run
win the
all the
Heisman.
way up through y'all. I don't understand that.
We're
Dane,
to win
in
the
essentially
Heisman.
a
Might be
home game
fan
at the
by the end
SEC
of this year.
championship.
You might want to throw Saban off the bridge. I don't know. Yeah. Because we're going to show you. We're going to win the Heisman. We're going to win the SECCG. We're going to win the Natty. We're going to steal your recruits. And we hope Tua gets better, but we're going on to the winning.
We hope. Yeah.
We're taking it all.
Right.
Yeah.
We're taking it all.
Okay.
I think that LSU
Y'all
is
can't
definitely.
argue with me on that, can you?
There's nothing to argue with it.
Yes
It hasn't happened yet.
Is Alabama going to be in the playoffs? Yes or no?
I don't know. It's not looking good right now. It's really not.
I'm going to tell y'all no. You might as well accept it now.
Because you said no, it's not going to happen.
Shannon Russell. Breaking
Come
news.
on.
Shannon Russell says
Do you
Alabama,
really
there's
wanna go
no
into
chance
playoffs
in
the way-
hell.
the way
She
They will
said
make the
she also
playoffs.
said LSU was going to win for like 8 years in a row.
LSU is going to win the national championship.
Let me tell you something. We're going to win it this year before you do. We're going to win it this year before Bama does. How's that going to make you feel? How long has it been since Bama hasn't won 2 years in a row?
Alabama hasn't won 2 years in a row in a long time.
Let me tell y'all something.
2011,
Look,
2012 is the last time
let me
Bama
tell you
won 2
something.
years in a row.
Even during Alabama games, LSU games, doesn't matter what games, Pornhub
You
is
haven't won
available
back-to-back in the
24/7.
playoffs.
You know that I can jerk off anytime I want to with the convenience and quality of Pornhub. You know they've got shit on there that's
Are we getting paid for this?
1080
y'all talking
pixels.
about Alabama again.
Are we getting paid for this?
Yeah, this segment is sponsored by Pornhub.
All right.
So it don't matter. It don't matter who's playing what game. Pornhub's still available to me
As
at
long
any
as-
given point in time. If I want to jerk it to a midget porn, I can jerk it to midget porn.
Let me say something real quick.
Pornhub makes that happen.
Oh, midget porn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me say something real quick before we hang up on Shannon.
Yes.
I'm pulling for LSU as long as Alabama still has a shot because Alabama has no shot whatsoever if LSU goes down.
True. Our success
Well, then
is
some
not.
Alabama fans are wishing Georgia wins out.
No, I'm not.
No.
No.
Yeah,
If,
but
if,
I mean,
if
as
Georgia,
a
wins,
fan,
if
yeah.
Georgia-
wins, we still can get in the playoffs.
absolutely, that's
It's
what. If that's my argument. If Georgia beats LSU close, then LSU and Georgia will go in, and Alabama will be sitting on the outside.
I love it. I love it. Say it again. Say it again.
Well, that's what you want. That's what you want to happen.
Yeah.
You sure so don't know
Of
that
course.
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll beat you anyway. We'll beat
Perhaps.
you. Y'all think it's going to be a repeat of 2012, and it's not. First of all, our offense is
And I'm just watching it unfold like you are.
Yeah.
First of all, those
In
were
real
two
time.
explosive defenses, right? LSU and Alabama back in 2011, 2012 season. Those were two explosive defenses. This year, it's two explosive offenses, but you don't have your key player. So
Still got a
I would
lot.
wanna
Still
go-
got a
if I
lot
were
of
you, I
talent.
would want to go back in the playoffs and get beat again like you did against Clemson.
I don't know. I think that
How now? Wait a minute now, because you've got some really important games coming up with the SEC championship and the eventual playoff.
Hey, how many yards did Ole Miss have on the ground?
Well, that's why I was just fixing to say. How did you?
Oh, good
how did?
God.
No, I mean seriously, y'all allowed 37 points to that Ole Miss
You
squad.
allowed 31. Whoop-de-doo.
So?
We allowed one more
I
touchdown.
know. I
than
mean that was.
Alabama.
Yeah, but how many yards on the ground? Holy shit! What was it, like 400 yards?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It
our
was.
defense needs to shape up, but guess what?
Yeah.
We're still 10-0. Are you? Are
No.
you 10-0?
No, we're not. No, we're not.
It-
But I mean, didn't that
Are
concern you a
number-
little
are
bit
you
with these
making the
games
top
coming
four
up?
CFP poll?
Because
No.
I want to say that Georgia's got a little bit of a running game too.
Yeah.
And a hell of a defense.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
you know what? They won't be able to stop Joe. So that's
don't
just
know.
the way it is.
I don't know. We'll see. That's essentially a home game for Georgia on that one.
Y'all said the same thing against Florida. You said the same thing against
I'm not
Auburn.
pulling for Georgia, so I'm just going to go ahead and.
No, we need LSU to win. I hate it. I hate. You're never going to hear me say go. You're never going to hear me say it. Just But we have to pull for LSU in this one, like it or not. We're stuck with your fucking.
No, you're not
ass.
pulling for us if you don't say go Tigers. So
Here's how I do it. Fuck LSU. I hope
Yeah.
they win the rest of the fucking
Yeah,
games.
they need to win all the rest of their games except when we beat them in the I guess the first round.
The salt is real.
The
The
first
salt is
round of
real.
the playoffs, I guess would that. Yeah, it'd probably.
Audience, do
Yeah,
you,
that-
do you
that-
We
hear
could
them
sneak in
crying?
at 4, and they're still at 1. So yeah, that's that would work.
Do you have
Let me
anything
give- let
left
me
to
give
say
you
about
another insight
Saban
on
before we hang
Saban,
up on
though.
you?
Yeah.
That way, I'm gonna say one more thing on Saban. One more thing.
Okay.
Because y'all seem to not be able to be critical of him at all. So I'm gonna give y'all one more shot at it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Prove that, I can be critical against.
Go ahead, say it, and then we'll respond.
Okay.
My King Saban, Lord Saban.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
May he
so
reign forever.
I think the man cannot defend against the passing game. I think he is a genius on the running game, but I think passing game screws him all up, especially if they mix it up and decide to run the ball, pass the ball. That's how you beat Alabama. That's the difference in 2000. And I tried to tell y'all that 2011, 12 season versus.
I remember
this year.
when we did that show in 2011.
Y'all can stop the running game. You
I
can't
remember
stop the
exactly
passing
what you
game.
said then.
The game is changing. When you go to a spread, that's why Steve Spurrier was able to beat Saban. When you go to a spread, it
changes time.
All right, you ready for us to respond? You ready for
I think Saban needs to retire. The game is changing. The teams get more competitive because he set the bar. For this.
And all that little clapping you do in between, that's so fucking retarded and gay, dude. You're like a little child on Facebook with a new toy, dude.
So, do y'all agree on that?
No.
Here I go. You ready?
Give me an example of where he's won.
Are you ready for me to go on this?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and give it to her. Give her the business.